In this episode, Sue and I are going to talk about the TDS Logistics Fuel Card that we just started using. And oh my God, I'm telling you, the savings per gallon is unbelievable. Up until this point, we had made the decision that we were going to buy our fuel only from the big truck stops for a couple of reasons. One, we wanted the fuel to be as fresh as possible, but two, we wanted to be driving into an environment that was as large as possible so that we didn't have a lot of customers buzzing around us and all sorts of safety islands and canopies and things that didn't have the thought put in to accommodate the large trucks. So as you see here, we're pulling into this diesel place. Now if you look up to the left, you'll see a green flashing sign, and there's two prices. The $3.39 is the cash price, and the $3.45 per gallon is the credit price. Now I was able to get with Pilot a RVer credit card that was actually hooked up to my checking account, so it wasn't a credit, but it allowed me to be looked at as a cash customer even though I was paying at the pump. And up until finding the TDS Logistics card, we were happy as a clam with that. But as you'll see later on in this video, there's an awful lot of reasons why you're going to want to switch to the TDS Logistics EFS card. Sue and I had an advantage the first time we picked up our rig and intentionally went to a diesel spot to be able to get fuel. We had our good buddy Jerry, who's a professional driver, has been for probably over 20 years. He came to Indiana to help us pick our rig up, and although I drove it, he patiently sat in the passenger seat, and he might have been having a heart attack for all I know watching what I was doing, but he was so nice and kind. I just had to splash a picture of him on screen here and thank him once again. You can see here Sue is attempting to wash the windshields, but this was one of the few pilots that actually had kind of a bad pole, so she wasn't able to get that done effectively. Sue and I almost always divide up our responsibilities here. I go out and pump the fuel. I have a set of gloves that I leave in my outside bay because they get kind of smelly from the diesel, but it's just a little bit easier on the skin and getting it all over you and then having to come in and do some driving. You're better off using gloves. You can see through the windshield here that it's a pretty busy place at all of these places, and when you're done fueling, one of the courtesies that you have to remember to do is to pull forward, just like this truck in front of me had done, so that I in fact can be starting my fueling process right now. On our 2014 Newmar Dutch Star, our DEF tank is actually on our right passenger rear side. So it is on the incorrect side to be able to fill up with the DEF pumps. Now maybe I could pull forward and put the rear of the vehicle in line with the pump and pull the DEF pump out all the way around, but that's not the way we've chose to do it. On one hand, the DEF they go through a lot of DEF at these fuel stops, and so you could be assured of your DEF being fresh. Sue and I have chosen to buy our DEF in the 2.5 gallon containers that are available in the truck stops, which are also selling that at a very high rate and volume. So we just feel safer and a little bit better DEF cleanliness and hygiene by using the 2.5 gallon containers. Well, I hope you've stuck around this long, because what we're going to do now is I've developed a spreadsheet to explain a little bit about what we've experienced on the 3 times that we've used the TDS Logistics card. We'll show you what we paid at the pump, the gallons pumped, the price per gallon on the pump, and then we can compare that to the app that Sue will show you that pops up on her phone. Come on, let's get into it. It's pretty exciting. Sue, I'm a little concerned. What are you hanging out around this trucking place here?
Well, actually, I'm checking out my new app, the EFS Card Control. It's a red one. Just wanted to show you what it looks like for when you download it. The cool thing with this app is you've got all kinds of things to choose from. And one of our favorites is actually to find the price locator. So it shows that we are in the Fort Myers area, and the green actually shows the lowest price in this area. So let's zoom in. You can see down here, this is actually Pilot.
How much is it?
So this is $2.73.
Oh.
But let's go up to the green because that's the one that saves you money. It's the cheapest. So this one is actually $2.66. Much cheaper.
Wow.
Now, a nice thing too about this is that when we go back here, we can show our account activity. And this actually shows the 3 times that we've used the card already. So last time we really filled it up. We were pretty empty. The cool thing about that is it actually shows what your discount is that you received. So it shows the price, how much we paid, and then how much we actually saved by using this card.
Okay, so I actually made a spreadsheet of those 3 stops so that I can discuss that a little easier on the computer when I get home. But I just want to show that we, in fact, right now are at this Love's that we just showed you. And when I would pull in here in the past, I would use my credit card because Love's did not allow me to have an account as an RVer. Pilot did, but Love's did not. So every time I would be forced into a Love's by either virtue of it being the only game in town or whatever, I would pull in and I would have to pay $3.14 a gallon. Whereas now when I go to Love's, today I would have paid $2.66. That is an unbelievable difference, and that's the unbelievable difference that you will have if you start using the TSD Logistics card. So now, back to the shop, honey.
Let's go.
So we're back in the shop here, and let's see if we can make some sense of these numbers. Let's look at the bottom line real quick first. And folks, that's a fictitious line that I put in there, but I wanted to put it in because that one ties into the video segment that we did before this, where Sue and I actually went to the Love's Fort Myers truck stop before we started trying to explain the sheet to you. My typical fill-up is about 75 gallons. And if we would have paid the price that was on that sign in that segment, which was $3.13.9, we would have saw $235.42 at the pump. And that would be the end of the story. That would be what would appear on my credit card, and that's what I would ultimately have to pay. And I have to be honest with you that up until getting this TSD Logistics card, I had X'd Love's off my list of places to go unless I absolutely had to, because I was not able to get a trucker card that allowed me to fill up at the pump. That was too inconvenient. I preferred not to do it. Pilot had a program that allowed me to not only get a card, but once I had the card from Pilot hooked up to a checking account, I got the cash price. So I always got about 8 cents off. You will see shortly that 8 cents pales in comparison to what you'll get from the TSD company. when we looked up what we would be in fact paying with the discounted card at this Love's, we would be paying $2.65.7, $2.65.7. So we actually would have had debited on our card, not the $2.35 that I was used to at the pump. I would have walked out of there thinking that I was paying $199.28. Now, what I'm trying to explain to you on this spreadsheet is that even though that's the price that was paid by TSD Logistics, you in fact are not TSD Logistics. You are a user of their fuel discount program, and you have to pay them 10% for that privilege. So if you look further in the sheet here, if I take what I would have paid and I subtract from it what TSD did pay, what TSD saved for me was this value right here, $36.15. Now remember, I told you that they will get 10% for their trouble, so $3.61 they will get for the transaction. So now TSD still has to pay their real money for the fuel that I got. So the $1.99 that TSD has paid for this fuel, the $3.61 I'm going to pay TSD for the privilege to get this discount, this is the final amount that I paid for my fuel, which is $2.02, which is still $32 less than what I was normally used to paying. Now I won't bore you too much. We're going to just go through one example up on the top here. Let's say I'll pick the top one. In Knoxville, Tennessee on November 9th, I stopped into a Pilot and I pumped $120 worth of fuel, 40 gallons, and the price on the pump was $2.99.9. We noticed that we had paid $101.66. And it was at that time we weren't quite savvy on how this program worked, and we thought, oh, that's what we saved. We saved a total of $18.77. That's before we did the math and did the spreadsheet here, that we saw that 10% of this yet had to be accounted for. And in fact, we owed TSD for the fuel, the 101. We owed them their 10% cut on it. And in fact, our final payment was $103.54. You do the division between what was paid and the gallons pumped and everything, we were able to do an actual price per gallon number here, $2.58, and the amount saved per gallon was a whopping 42 cents per gallon. That is unbelievable compared to any other programs out there. So our total savings on this rather small fill-up of only 40 gallons was $16.89. Like I had said before on my Love's example here, we're usually splashing in between 75 and 100 gallons because we use our fuel stop as a stretch your legs stop. So the savings per tankful will be all over the map, but you can nominalize that feeling if you look at the amount saved per gallon. If you look at this link down here, and oh, by the way, this spreadsheet here that I'm looking at, that although it's not that complicated, it does have a fair amount of information on it. And if you'd like to click around on it yourself and fool around with it, all you have to do is you look down on the screen here to request this TSD Logistics Savings Excel spreadsheet. Just put in the subject line TSD Logistics and send it to Our Journey in Myles. Myles is spelled M-Y-L-E-S. It's the name of our rig. Our Journey in Myles at gmail.com, and I will send this to you so you have these links on here if you want to save it and go to TSD Logistics later. The reason you want to put TSD Logistics in the subject line is that I have one other spreadsheet I can send people, and that's our cost breakdown of our second full year of full timing. So if you're interested in that, you can put that in a separate email as well. Let's take a look at these two links that I have on the spreadsheet here. The first one is the tsdlogistics.com Services Fuel Program explanation. If we click on this link here, there is a discussion and kind of an explanation of how their program works. It has a little discussion of what an EFS card is in the first place, a little video about it. This is what the actual card looks like. Here's an explanation of what their fees are. They get 10% of the savings per gallon. A little discussion how it works. Here's kind of an awesome thing. This is a refer a friend program, and once you get this card and you see that it's as awesome of a savings tool in your toolkit as we do, you will be telling other people about it. And if they were to put you down as the person that referred them to the program, you would in fact save a $25 fuel credit put against your account for you to use later after they purchase the first 100 gallons. If you're an RVer, buying 100 gallons of fuel is very easy to do. If you are done reading this and you're ready to sign up at that exact moment, you can press this link here that's on this sheet and it will take you right to the application. If you want to think about it and you don't want to forget about what that link is or any of the other links, I've included the application link on our spreadsheet as well. And when and if you would decide to take the plunge here, this is what the form looks like. You can see how simple and straightforward it is. Fill out your name, your address, zip code, where you are, phone number. The phone number is very important to put in, and the phone number should be one that you're ready, willing, and able to answer at all times during a normal business day, because TSD Logistics is going to call you from their financial department for your Social Security number. Now remember, I had explained that they need the Social Security number because although this operates as if it's a credit card for a few days until they debit your real account, they're hanging out there with a $200 or $300 bill. They do not do a credit check for this particular card. It's just their way to protect themselves if everything goes south and they have to start taking different steps to get paid. The telephone area code that they're going to be calling from is a 903 area code, and it's from Texarkana, Texas. So when you see that on the screen of your smartphone, you're going to want to answer that call. If you miss that call, then you will have to call them back and track them down in their very busy place. This is a very popular program. You kind of don't want to miss that opportunity to do it the easy way with them calling you. We would ask as a favor if you would put down our journey in miles under the referred account if you were to join this program and you use more than 100 gallons. We would get a $25 credit on all of the gallons that I use with my 6.5 mile per gallon monster that I'm driving. So referred by our journey in miles. If you would like, put your email down so that they can correspond with you. One of the things we did, because our address is in our domicile state, but yet we're traveling all over the place, we had a problem that we weren't going to be in one spot long enough to have the card shipped directly to us, which you look down here, the standard shipping and processing doesn't cost you anything. We took them up on the $20 offer and had them ship within 2 days the card out to us, because we were going to be in one spot for about, 2 or 3 weeks on the tail end of discovering about this card, and that worked out well for us. Most folks, and I guess I would recommend it as well, when you put your bank in here and your routing number, make sure it's a checking account and not a savings account. If there would be a data breach, and let's face it, in this world, even big companies like Capital One had data breaches, you would want to have limited exposure and liability, so put a checking account number in there. There are folks out there that are really savvy where they go out and they got a separate checking account that's just for fueling, and they have about 2 or 3 fuel amounts in that checking account, and that's it. So that's really limiting your exposure if you're a little bit hesitant, to be in a program like this. I think, as I mentioned, if anybody would like this sheet so that they could dive into these numbers a little bit better, see our real life experiences in only 3 fill-ups, what we experienced, you can send to Our Journey in Myles, Myles spelled with a Y, M-Y-L-E-S, Our Journey in Myles at Gmail. Put in the subject line TSD Logistics. I'll send you the sheet that has the links. If you're also interested in our 1-year cost breakdown for our Class A motorhome, we're kind of tourists. We're not really campers. We stay in kind of nice places, but we'd be more than happy to send you that spreadsheet as well.